Hey there, it's Natalie, and I'm still here in Fumba town in Zanzibar, a permaculture landscaped intentional community. And I just wanted to highlight Halima's garden, which was one of the first things to come in as this community was being established, and I just think it's awesome. So let me take you on a quick little tour. Franco and Bernadette, you guys will have to excuse me, you're not here to walk me through, and I'll just explain what I remember from last time I was here, what that Franco had explained. But this is Halima's garden. This is a community garden that was installed before all of this construction started to come up. And the idea was to have, some more community focal points, healing garden, relaxation spaces, contemplation stations. And so I love this outdoor living room where, you could have an event, you could bring people together for conversation, meditation, happy hour, who knows. So it's just a really lovely little seating space with a water feature here. And I'm not sure if this is super adobe, although I wouldn't be surprised if it is. If not, maybe concrete. But anyway, it's a wonderful little seating area. And then this, Halima's garden, was established so that people who live in this community can have access to a tiny little plot. I live in an apartment. For people who follow what I do in my apartment, I really try to demonstrate what's possible when you don't have space, when you don't have land, when you don't have any tiny little square footage on this earth of ours, what you can do in an apartment. But what I love here is that this is a resource that's available for the community. So what I do remember Franco explaining long ago was that this was designed, installed with a lot of soil building efforts. We're on coral rock here, so growing anything is quite a feat. I mean, you had your natural vegetation, but when you start to move into various crops, obviously that's a whole nother reality. And so the efforts that Franco and Bernadette have made to take all the food waste from the residents and staff and everybody already that are here and start to generate rich compost, which they do actively. There's a whole compost yard. Building soil here, constantly layering in more and more organic matter, and install some initial perennial elements, trees, shrubs, bushes, and then there are dividers, which I'll take you through, that will eventually allow people to come in and establish their own tiny little individual personal gardens if they want. So here I am on this path, and again, I'm just only talking about my observations here based on what Franco had explained to me last time. But again, we're walking into a food forest garden. We've got papaya trees everywhere, different fruit trees. There's moringa, of course. There's papayas. There's tons of chaya spinach. There's amaranths. And again, these individual plots, which are reserved for future individual gardens, are being vegetated. Can be chopped and dropped, continue to build soil, but this whole space is maturing, which will allow those individual garden plots to then have the support system, the life support of the perennial crops. So what I mean by that is, let's take a look at this little plot. There's a little space where one of the residents can come, decide how they want to design and tend their garden, but all around it is all this perennial stability. So they can put their annual crops here, and herbs and kitchen herbs and things for, whatever they want to eat that can be annuals. But the life support system of this perennial stability provides biomass, it provides shade and microclimate, diversification and intensification in this whole system. So that invites greater, fauna. So different insects, different pollinators, all those little people that come in and eat your pests, the lizards, the frogs, the bats. And so whatever is going to be planted here or here or here is going to be stronger, more resilient, more viable, because it's tucked into this whole plant community that can support it. Don't forget that this is these are the engines of biomass that we need to continue to build soil. So just a quick little tour. I love that the initial perennials were put in. I've got taro, again, bananas, different, all of these moringas up here. Look at these popos. I don't even know half of the stuff I'm looking at, to be honest. But I should come here with Bernadette and Franco, but I'm just playing hooky for a few minutes from our workshop so I can check this out. So there's shade, there's dappled shade, there are many different layers, and there's a place that becomes a little bit more wild. And it's so cool in here. This is a hot place where I am. It's super hot. The minute I walk in, and you can hear the birds, the minute I walk in here, I just feel this relief of shade and coolness and so much diversity. And we've got, you know, chaya everywhere. I'm standing under all these moringas. And what I wanted to just point out is a lot of times people get really freaked out with the density with which food forests are planted. But the truth of the matter is we're not in a natural forest here. This is all planted. These are chaya, banana. But the point is that you can plant trees and perennial plants and shrubs much more densely than people realize. If you actually walk into a natural forest that has been untouched, you know, and unspoiled and not deforested, you will be shocked with the density and how much plants really rely on each other and those spatial relationships to create that, you know, beneficial mutuality. So, you know, I just would really encourage people to overplant. Plant too much, plant too many things close together. You can always, you can always thin it out, replace things, but really the intensification, the diversity, you need this like really tightly packed in spaces. So when we do our food forests, we're planting 3 to 4 meters max between trees. And then that just creates so much microclimate that other plants and annuals really, really love to be protected by. So that's my little tour. I'm not qualified at all to give this tour. So Bernadette and Franco, you'll have to let me know if I need to delete anything or if there was anything inaccurate. But I really want to celebrate the effort that has been made here. This is part of the placemaking of Fumba Town. It's part of the nutrition, seed security, soil security, food security, energy security. You know, so all of this, why isn't this a part of every town, every community, where all the waste from these homes should go into building soil and then go right back into those homes and kitchens in the form of, you know, fresh greens and culinary herbs and things like that. I think we've got a pomegranate here, more popos. So let me just scan a little bit of the canopy so you can see the different things that are going on. Lots of layers. So yeah, that's my highly unqualified tour of Halima's garden here at Fumba Town. Thanks a lot.